Since we're talking about money, this is the perfect time to get into the Black Wall Street report because this week's topic ties in to Aretha Franklin and will give tips on estate planning for our deaths and protecting our property and our investments and our IP. And of course, to give this valuable information is the amazing Jatali B, former investment banker and forensic accountant, whatever the hell that means. She needs to explain what forensic accountant is. She is the founder and CEO of Kids Who Bank, a really amazing nonprofit which teaches financial empowerment and literacy to young people in 137 schools nationwide. Please give your attention on money and death to the amazing Jatali B. It's an awkward topic.
Cheers, Rakia. Very awkward, but important.
Yeah. People don't like to
Very
talk about
important.
death.
Let me tell you something. I am so tired of seeing social media GoFundMe accounts being used for funeral
I
expenses.
posted one last week for a friend. Yep, I sure did.
I just feel like there's this lack of knowledge in our community sometimes, or in many communities, because it's not just a black thing. It goes across the field with people who don't have something planned. And now with this whole Aretha Franklin thing, I mean, she left a minimum of $80 million to no one. And by no one, I mean, I'm discussing her lack of a will.
Right.
I mean, I think it is important to share these 3 beginner tips and 1 intermediate tip to planning your estate. Are you
Okay.
guys ready?
Yeah,
Jumping right
absolutely.
in.
Let's go.
1. Create a will and testament, which tells the world how you want your assets and riches dispersed, property, your money, your last check, social security benefits. I mean, people don't realize every last thing that you possibly have put your money into or can be potentially an asset spread. And I don't care if you give it to a person, a charity, a dog. Yes, I said a dog. I have known people who have left their last wishes to their dogs and their pets.
Wow.
But whatever it is, just get one. And if you think you can't afford an attorney, even if it's the cheapest option, such as get a template, a letter, write it out. A template, when I say a template, I mean a template of, a will and testament.
Okay.
Write it out, go to a notary, get it notarized, and find you someone to actually protect it coming to light. And people don't realize it's that simple to even get started. At least you have something that you left behind, even if you felt like you're broke.
So I have a question. So when you say to watch it or protect it come to light, what does that mean? So if, say, I write something down and like I was talking to, I have an uncle and he's like, oh, I wrote my will down. And I'm like, well, did you get it notarized? Like, what can he do? He wrote it down, so he has to get it notarized. Does someone have to watch that notary?
So this brings me to number 2. Get an executor for that will, preferably an estate planner and a durable power of attorney. So what I mean by that is I suggest not using someone personal that is too close to the family, no one who can be persuaded to do wrong or get personal or emotionally attached, or a DPA, which is a durable power of attorney. That person is a person who, even if you were alive, let's say, but too sick to execute basics, that person can make sure even paying your bills can be done. Because you don't want to be in a position that the person you leave your money to might not have your best interests at heart. And an estate planner can enforce, and these people can enforce that your last will and even your family and friends, or even if they're not too happy, have to go through with whatever you said has to happen.
So you suggested not be family.
I suggest it's not family. I have seen many instances where if it's a family member who is your executor, if they get mad with another sister or sibling because they don't feel like when you were passing away that their sibling helped enough, they'll be like, oh, I don't want you to get this money. They try to find a way to change it up or say that you changed your will, or they can try to manipulate you maybe to change it legally.
Wow. Okay.
You don't want to be, if you, like, let's say you're the parent passing away, you might feel like no matter what, you want your child to get a certain amount. And if it's something personal, somebody else can choose to change that for you. Or if you're sick and you don't have a durable power of attorney, somebody can manipulate the fact that you're sick. And, if you give them power of attorney, sign over all your money to themselves and basically use it for their personal, flaunting.
So it shouldn't be
I mean,
family or friends. It should be somebody completely objective who does this for a living.
my personal opinion. And that brings us to number 3. Get life insurance. Okay? Back to Aretha Franklin. Just an example. How life insurance could have massively helped, right? She has $80 million. Worst case scenario, let's say she is in a bracket to pay 40% in taxes on that $80 million. That's about roughly $32 million, right? She could have had a life insurance policy for $32 million and to offset those taxes. And when she died, the life insurance would have covered all the taxes, the $32 million. And whoever gets her estate would basically receive the $80 million. So
Wow.
they would keep the 80 million, and it's almost as if she had $112 million in a sense when you add the life insurance, but the family gets to keep the 80 million.
So she
And if
didn't
you're not,
have a life insurance policy?
that's what they're saying. That's what I'm reading online,
Wow.
and reputable sites are mentioning, all saying that she had nothing left behind, no will and testimony as to who she wants her money to go to.
And it's so
Which,
amazing when people talk about Aretha Franklin. They're like, oh, she was great with her money, meticulous with her money because she got her cash up front. And I'm like, that, but she didn't have a will. So no, she was not meticulous with her money.
and let's keep in mind now that with that said, now even with her family fighting for this, what's left over, automatically the government now can come in and take the maximum in taxes that they want to take out of that money. So the family, if I'm not mistaken, they will at most get maybe $40 million out of that 80 million that's left over
Wow.
after taxes are taken out. And that's what they're going to
Wow.
be fighting over now. So if she, like, let's say some people of color, in one of the articles I read, they mentioned that she didn't trust people and the government. That's why she always asked for cash, right? And she would ask for a major percentage of the money, like to say 25,000 in cash. If that was the case, do you really trust the government
Right.
to
Right. The US
execute your money?
government? Really?
So, with that said, and then that also makes me think about the fact that, end of term insurance, which AKA what some people call funeral insurance, that could have been covering her funeral costs at minimum for her family members, not to at least have to worry about that. Because guess what? She's probably going to have this very big funeral. And now her family doesn't even have that money access, technically speaking.
Well, hopefully
Can you
someone is
imagine?
is is paying for that funeral and giving it to them. I would hope
That would be amazing.
that someone's
So,
doing that for her.
I would hope
That's
so.
a good question.
So with that said, I want people to understand that at worst, if you feel like you cannot afford whole life insurance, at worst, if you feel like you cannot afford whole life insurance, I want people to understand that even if you get term insurance, right, for like, let's say 10 years at, like, let's say
What is
$100,000,
term
you might.
insurance?
So it's basically like a lesser insurance. It's usually smaller, like $100,000, $200,000, and you may pay as low as $10 a
But
month.
what does that mean, term insurance?
So short term. That's literally
Short
basically
term
short
what?
term
Short
insurance.
term life?
So
I don't understand.
so short term in the sense that instead of getting for your full life or 25 years, 10 years or less.
So you're insuring a decade of your life.
Yes, you're assuring a
Interesting.
decade of your life, while you get your money up, basically. It's usually a smaller amount, like $100,000, 200,000. So it's not their full whole life. It's only like one aspect, and you'll kind of choose. So when I say it's not your whole life, I mean like it might not cover all possible deaths, right? It might not cover every potential issue that you might come across. It might not cover your house expense. It might only cover if you die, but it won't cover if, let's say, your house still has a mortgage on it and there's only 100,000. There's only 100,000. That's
Interesting.
it.
Interesting.
The last tip for the advanced investor is for you to get children insurance, right? Get your child whole life insurance. It's a morbid idea, I know, of a child dying, but it's not just for your children dying. The same way for adults, there's benefits. For a child, imagine if your child turns 21 and they have student loans, then you can pay off the debt of the student loans from the life insurance for the child. You know, because imagine you get a 20-year plan, which is a whole life insurance. It might be $1 million, whatever, who knows? And then when that child turns 21, you can take from that. The next thing is that you can use the debt from that, let's say if they want to purchase a house, if they don't have student life insurance, they can take the money from the house, directly, the cash deposit from the house directly from their whole life insurance.
Right. And number 4, did you say funeral insurance?
Well, that's part of insurance to me, but you can get funeral insurance, aka what they call end of life
To
insurance.
pay for the funeral and the wake and the expenses. About on average, how much can that cost? It can be as little as what to as much as what?
Well, the thing about that is really depending on how healthy you are. If you get this right now while you're healthy, even if you get sick, once you start it while you're healthy, it might be even as low as maybe $20. Who knows?
Wow.
But if you wait till you're sick, then it brings up the price because you're more of a
But
liability.
can you get that insurance to cover someone else's funeral?
Yes, you can,
Interesting.
but it has to be done in advance. So like let's say if it's your grandmother or someone
Yeah.
of that nature,
Yeah.
then you can get it for that person. Um, and you just have to make sure that once again, they have to get checked. So, one of the companies I like is New York Life, for instance. New York Life will handle all of this for you. They have will and estate planners that they deal with, and they can make a package deal where everything is included. But they'll have someone come to your house, and they have deals that, once again, that are as low as $10 a month. And the websites I'll leave you with, just to give you a few websites: actec.org and naela.org and nylife.org. New York
Okay.
Life, National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. All of these people I think are important. And the American College of Trust and Estate Council. They can help you with
Nice.
the people, the estate planners, people who are certified, making sure it's a legal person. The list continues.
Jatali B, the Black Wall Street journalist, giving us the stats and facts about how we can take care of our families and protect our investments and our IP and anything else before we pass, and of course, control it from the government when we pass. Really important information. Thanks, Jatali.
You're welcome. And kidswhobank.com.